Welcome back to Iowa Live. Lou and Michelle here, and one of the things we look forward to going to the mailbox every couple of months and looking for
new one's out.
is when the new Iowa History Journal comes out. Michael Swanger is joining us in studio right now, and Michael Swanger, this is your baby, which is really cool. And every issue that comes out, you just outdo yourself. This is amazing.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Good morning, Michelle. Lou, thanks again for having me back. It is my baby, so I feel like a proud papa every time a new one arrives.
That's why we invite you here, because we have to give everybody
an
overview as to what is inside of this. Now, first of all, tell everybody how often this publication comes out.
You bet. We publish 6 issues a year. This is our November-December issue, hot off the press. And the timing, we thought, in terms of the cover story, was great because here we are just a day removed from Veterans Day, and enjoyed the program that you presented last night about local veterans. That was so well done. So we're talking a little bit about veterans today as well, and in particular a couple of World War II veterans. So the subject of this issue's cover story is a gentleman named John Drake Pusey, and he's a very interesting character in Iowa history. He was an artist and a military officer, kind of a rare breed. He was from Council Bluffs, born there in 1905, and after he graduated from high school, he graduated from Yale in fine arts. There's a good picture of him in his uniform. The previous photo was of an artwork in a mural at the U.S. Army College in Pennsylvania. But after he graduated from Yale, he went to work in Paris and work on the streets of Paris in the 20s, as most starving artists did at that time. And he returned to the States in Iowa about 1933, where he went to work with a guy named Grant Wood.
Okay. I heard of that guy.
We've heard of him a few times, haven't we? Sure.
Every now and then, yeah.
Right. So he went to work for Grant Wood and was part of that cadre of artists.
Really?
Who really invented the regionalism style. And so he painted murals across Iowa, across the country. There's one in San Francisco. Some of them didn't survive, some of them did. He did that for some time. He saw what was taking place in Europe and knew that war was on its way, World War II. He enlisted in '41 and became an officer there, and part of the work that he did for the Army, he started in the National Guard, then he went to the Army, was he would work in advanced scout patrols in diffusing bombs and looking at bunkers. The reason I bring that up is because he was part of the D-Day invasion in Normandy, and one of the places he discovered was a bunker that was known to be occupied for quite some time, years prior, by none other than Adolf Hitler, who we know who was an aspiring artist. Well, the twist in the story, and I want to give all of it away, is that he brought some of the paints home that were in the bunker, and he's pretty certain that they were his.
Really?
So he liked the idea that he had captured some of these paints and brought them back to the States and used them to paint murals in different places around the country. After the war, he continued to work as an artist. Then he re-enlisted again. He was redeployed to fight in Korea. Came back from that, continued painting. He died in 1966, but he's an interesting artist.
I love that
story.
Yeah.
A lot more to the story than you think.
Absolutely, yeah. Paintbrushes in one hand and a rifle in the other.
Wow.
So we don't see guys like that.
Not a very common combination there.
That's right, that's right. You know, and one other tidbit about World War II, I devoted my column this issue to a gentleman whose remains were finally just discovered. Almost 77 years after he went missing in the New Guinea area. His name is Private Laurel Ebert. He's from Blairstown, Iowa. And this is one of those stories that just came about a few months ago. The military has been doing an incredible job of, there's an agency, there's a photo of him that looks for lost remains. And, you know, we see headlines in the news every now and then about remains being found. This one really struck me as just especially interesting. You know, obviously he didn't have any siblings or his parents alive, and you just think about what his family went through all those years not knowing where he was and what actually happened to him. So I want to devote my column to that and to remember everyone who was lost in all the wars. But you know, when we think about World War II, there's still more than 72,000 missing sailors and soldiers.
Right.
So you know, their sacrifice, we never want to forget that, their service, as well as the service of the agency and all the men and women in uniform today who continue to look for them. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing stories.
It is, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is very cool.
Awesome. Other things we're
Unless
celebrating.
I got reading here.
I know.
It's easy to get wrapped
hard
up
to put
into
this
some
in
of
front
these
of you without
headlines.
trying to page through it as we're talking
Sure.
about, and also talking about what the Transcontinental Railroad mentioned in here too. What's that all about?
Right. We celebrate a couple of sesquicentennial anniversaries in this issue, 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad, which there's a wonderful picture of Grenville Dodge, who coerced President Abraham Lincoln to start the Transcontinental Railroad in Council Bluffs. And that's a photo of them at a ceremony in Utah.
I like the title of the article, Nailed It.
Nailed it. Yeah, our mutual friend Michael Moraine wrote that story.
Oh, Moraine wrote it?
From
Okay.
the State Historical
Sure,
Society.
we all know him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And the other anniversary we're commemorating in this issue is that of the PEO Sisterhood, which was founded at Iowa Wesleyan University in Mount Pleasant.
That is
150 years ago.
Yeah, great anniversaries.
A great organization, international.
All right. The one that, to be honest with you, Michael, these are great stories that are in here, but the one that really caught my imagination and caught my attention when I got the issue in my hand was the Mays Museum.
Right.
Okay. I didn't even know. I went to Iowa State.
Sure.
What is this?
Sure. Well, I didn't know about it either until Jerome Thompson, the retired curator for the State Historical Society, pitched it to me months ago. That we're looking at a photo of Jules Cool Cunningham, who originally had an idea in the 1930s to build a maize museum. Where else then? There's no other place better than Iowa State University to study maize and corn. Of course, at that time it was known as Iowa State College. He had the idea in the 30s. He tried to get the ball rolling, got the university behind him in terms of support with funding. In the 40s, it looked like an idea that was going to take off because at that time, corn palaces were the rage.
Right, we talked about those, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, with Professor Stein. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's been to a few of those corn palaces,
I'm
I
sure
believe,
he
over the
has,
years.
yes.
So he had the idea to build one on campus. Can you imagine what that would have been like if that had been built?
That would have been awesome.
It would have been great.
Yeah.
Something totally different, a different tradition at Iowa State.
Instead of the Campanile, you could have had the corn palace.
That's right. Exactly.
castle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it never came to be. The college dropped the idea at the last minute for funding. It never happened. All the materials that he collected, though, were not for naught, however, because they were used at the university. It's just kind of one of those stories of what could have been.
Right.
And I thought Jerome did a wonderful job of unearthing that story because that's another one that I was not familiar with either until he pitched it to me.
An amazing story.
It is.
Yeah.
It is an interesting story. Absolutely.
And an amazing idea is the way it's titled.
Oh, he was very clever,
Perfect.
right? Right.
And maybe someday one will pop up there.
That would be fun.
Never know, right?
Jerome, at the end of the story, kind of teased it by saying maybe they could have a scavenger hunt on campus and get the kids to, the students to see if they could find all the materials and try to build it. So
that'd be fun. But
exactly.
Again, this issue is great. Now, if people want to get a copy of this, the easiest way is to get a subscription to this because that way you don't have to worry about going and searching it out, and you get it a little bit ahead of time, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
All of our subscribers get the magazine about a week before it hits newsstands. Hy-Vee carries it across the state. We're grateful to them for doing that. Beaverdale Books here in Des Moines carries it as well. But that's the easiest way to get it. Just have it delivered to your doorstep, especially when the temperatures are like this.
Yeah, you want it to come to your door so you don't have to go anywhere.
That's right,
Grab it.
exactly.
What's the best way to get a copy of this? Then what website do we need to go to?
You bet. IowaHistoryJournal.com. You can not only subscribe, but you can buy our collectible back issues there and some posters. Or you can call us at 515-490-7325. We're happy to help you anytime.
Now, I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again.
Sure.
The back issue is the most popular back issue that people want to get their hands on.
No doubt, John Wayne.
John Wayne's. Yep.
The Duke.
Yep. And
Yeah.
is that one still available?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so maybe for the holidays, you have a John Wayne fan in your gift giving arena, and you don't know what to get them. Maybe get them a copy of that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay.
John, he just lingers in everyone's hearts over the years.
No
He never
question
goes
about it.
away.
Another great issue, the Bob Feller issue. Was that another outstanding issue?
It is, you know, and unfortunately, I think I have, well, that one is actually sold out.
Oh, it is?
It is, but yeah, anytime we can write about Bob. We wrote about Bob a couple years ago, and then we discussed it on the show about just his military service.
Right.
So there's an issue a few years ago that folks can find and read about his military service because that's a story that really hasn't been told enough.
Yeah, a story in itself.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
These are the you hang
Thank you,
on to
sir.
these and build
Thank
your
you. A pleasure.
collection, and they're great to have for the kids to to get that history and nice to have on the shelves for sure.
Absolutely.
History
Thank you,
Journal.
Michelle.
Get it in
Good
your
work over there.
mailbox. You'll be
Thank
so
you.
glad that you did.